Good morning. No signal set. Wait, no signal set. Good morning, everybody. This is Engineer Suraj Singh speaking from Bharat, India, on this day of March 3rd, 2021, Tuesday, regarding specific quality issues in civil engineering construction, and title being Civil Field Engineering Designs, Construction Methods, Contracts, and Annex, of course, AnnexSL. Based on that, in organizations, communications, coordination, quantity and quality, and why quality issue is very important from quality viewpoint, quality aspect that we miss. You may call that my my ambition is to share quality issues with everybody. This is addressed to all over world, those who are professionals and those who are not professionals, common people, and particularly those who are professionals in civil engineering and they are not very serious. That's also very fact. I see many Facebook photos, Facebook scenes, and of course many YouTube videos. And I find fact that people, and of course professional people too, they are not very much serious about issues of quality. I think it is not because they do not know, they know it. Only reason of absence of quality, or you can say missing quality, is carelessness, ignorance, and just to push job. That's it. They understand quality. I cannot say they cannot understand quality because they are engineers. And in case they do not understand, then I don't know how could they pass engineering, or there is no meaning of quality in engineering education. Maybe it is in syllabus, but nobody bothers because our teachers and professional teachers and professors, they all have not been exposed to practical aspect of engineering, no experience on sites, and our designers too got no experience on sites. Those could be reasons that quality is not being communicated on drawings and it is not being mandated in writing as well as in inspections. And it's not done. If it's not done, this means it's very serious issue. Very serious issue because quality should be number one. I have experience on projects, of course, not supervised by our country people. That's true. I had opportunity. I was privileged to work with those people of international status, and they always cared for quantity as well as quality. They had the habit to use or push job to progress, but quality was prior to that. It was in priority. I think in our society, quality is only in show boards, in show pieces, or you can say on biodata, or you can say only on their advertisement contents. Quality is number one. But if you try to find quality contents on products, I think you will be disappointed. You shall be disappointed. That's true. And that disappointment is based on strength, is based on, you know, you can say non-serious people cannot give quality, I can say. I had habit to write some criticism about our society, our nation, in my posts as well as in my videos. That time I was not 100% sure, but I had observation that our nation is not serious about anything. But now, after a long time, I am realizing my preposition, my supposition were all okay. And I am very much disappointed by absence of quality. I still say people understand quality, but they don't understand or they're not serious about how to achieve it. Achievement, obtaining something requires some efforts. If I assume I will get it automatically, people would understand automatically, I stand in wrong boat. I must have confidence in people, in workers, in engineers, in supervisors. But that confidence cannot be imagination. If I imagine, no, they will understand, they will do it, don't worry. If I sit with this concept in mind, means I'm not going to explain anything, and I think they will understand themselves. I think that is not valid these days, because even if I write on paper or on drawings or somewhere, particularly on drawings, I have not seen quality statements. But if I think I write somewhere in specifications, I am sure our society members are now located off, distant from reading culture and distant from writing culture. Reading and writing cultures have died, you can say that way. And this applies not only in our country, in many other countries as well. Those people who are not very serious. In our country, people are very, very serious less, you can say. They are not at all serious. They do not understand. They say they are serious. They are serious for what? They are serious for how to make money, how to cheat, how to let it go as it is. They are very serious in that regard. चलता है, हो जाएगा, don't worry, it will happen. It takes time. Oh my God, how much time it takes, they won't define. Okay, it is in process. Such types of statements do not work in engineering. These do not work in quality. Yes, these may work in lying, these may work in false promises, these may work everywhere else. But when you have to achieve something, when you have to produce something, such legless statements, such footless statements, such baseless statements never ever work. And result that your quality product is available, product is delivered, which is performanceless, you can say, or part performing, and you get lost of quality. And also, once you produce something without quality, it is also true that you cannot fill in quality in that. Even by improvement or by something, you cannot do that. You cannot achieve that level of quality which is expected or which was prescribed. That point we must be serious. We must understand that clearly, and particularly to engineers, I am trying to explain, because sometimes I am very much disappointed. Really, I am disappointed when I see that. I am very much disappointed with how people, you can say, for them, photo show is more important on Facebook, on other social websites, but even they expose their mistakes. They expose their mistakes without even thinking what others would think. They think, oh, see, this photo is there, I am doing this, watching, and I have seen such photos, such exposes. And for example, somebody shows, see my work is going on. You can see this is my work, RCC work or some other work, and closely say like it. Okay, I like it, but I like it what? It should have quality first. It should have safety first. If it does not have any safety provision or quality provision, Okay, I like it, that is for your statistics that I got so many likes. But does it really worth? I mean, does it really do worth, you can say? If I say I like it. Suppose I see steel reinforcement is fixed, bars are fixed, and many of them are rusted. I should like it as a professional, or not even being a professional, as a person. Should I like rusted steel bars in concrete? Well, I think if I like that, in that case, I should punish myself. I should punish myself if I speak that way or if I accept that way, because rust has no specification. Rust cannot be used in steel, I'm sorry, in concrete. Even it is very higher size bar or lower size bar, it doesn't matter. You have no authority, you have no right to use, to include permanently rusted bar in concrete. But those persons who expose or post that, I think they do not care about that. This also means that they never go to that location to supervise, just they leave it to contractor or to subcontractor of steel fixing. They leave to that person, trusting him excessively that this person will take care. But because you are not going to check it once or twice, maybe that person knows and it's okay, let it go. Maybe engineer Sahib would accept this, or engineer Sahib would not take care of this, and they think if it's approved, this is final. See, actually, approval is not very important from quality point of view. It is quality that is important, because a person who does something, who supervises something, and a person who approves it, both are same people, means they are ignorant of quality. While quality doesn't see any face, quality demands something, and that demands who shall fulfill: engineer, supervisor, charge hand, and those who are involved, technicians. They should fulfill it. And if they don't fulfill it, I don't understand meaning of availability of everybody. Steel fixing person, steel supervising person, supervisor, engineers, foremen. What for do they work? I don't know. Just to take photograph and post? Is that only job they do? That's a very important point. So every day I see something on where quality or you say issues are involved. For example, excavation is done and then they find that water exists. They didn't know water exists before starting excavation. So this is sequential point which we see that there's a lapse everywhere. Though subjects they learned everything, they learned an idea, they have common sense, they have, but do they use it? That's our point. So if we do not use, and when we come to problem, we face problem, we try to find solution to that. And it cannot be defined engineering. Engineering can't be defined that when you do something without thinking, and when you reach a system where you find a problem, you start raising question to someone else. Of course, the people are available to respond to your request, but there was a time that nothing else, there was no communication, or communication is very important, and communication people, they don't even know how to raise questions. And it's very important, is question raising capacity has gone down, learning capacity has gone down, and panic has come up, and everything you find something, oh, I have this problem, please advise me, please do this and do that. And I mean, this is never called engineering. Engineering means something you do must be used, mind must be used. Don't do blindly. If you do blindly, okay, I start, will say later on what happens, so no problem, everything has solution, every problem has solution. If you keep that in mind and don't use it a privilege to think. I think thinking is a privilege, I should say, so a special right, but they can stop you from that. If somebody asks me what is intelligence and what is thinking, I say it's my special right, it's my privilege. No one can stop me from doing thinking. And I think, again I say, I think thinking itself is intelligence. If you are intelligent, you can think and you must think, and you have a right to think, and you have a procedure to think, and you have a privilege to think. Nobody can stop you. What do you think? It's up to you. Your mind is working. You should use that power to analyze and to find solution. That is what education says. That is what practice says. Then that is what engineering is all about. When we say engineering is for change, engineering for change means what? If you have something, you want to change it, you have to think about that. So, engineering is a change. Engineers used to be called agents of change, and still they are called agents of change. Social change, development change, wood change, or you can say change from jungle or from forest to city, change from forest to towns, change from existing status to something useful status, and that change is not ordinary change, that is overall change. Of course, there are issues related to pollution with others which have got other solutions. So, change is change. If we just follow something without thinking, there's no, I would say, then engineering has got no meaning. If an engineer uses or includes a rusted bar, or engineer does not care for something else, engineer does not care for soil properties, doesn't care for soil investigation, doesn't care for quality or workmanship, or they don't care for something, they want to use conventional methods. They don't even think how to do best work, how to do better work. And in that case, I think your degrees and your diplomas and your doctorates and masters, they're all piece of papers and nothing else, I can say. I don't need piece of paper. I need peace of mind, peace of mental stability, peace of thinking integrity, and application of thinking integrity. Results analysis. I need your analysis. I need my analysis. Analysis, and you can say methodologies, or I don't call it methodology. I'm speaking because people speak. It's methods. What methods you want to do something? What is your mind means? It's not necessary where I do you should do. No, it's not necessary. I think it's better. You think something is much better than what I say. You to say that maybe I accept that, because what we want time. We want in our organizational management. We say okay, we must consider time. We must consider cost. We must consider quality. We must consider risk factors. We must consider so many other knowledge areas. We say means we have to keep everything within limits, and there are so many knowledge areas you can define yourself, but most important points are the time is very much important, cost is very much important, because if you lose cost you cannot complete project, you don't have budget, and also quality. And if you don't do quality work, either you have to modify it later on, or you have to do it again if quality is to be maintained, or you can say this is substandard work. If substandard work means it's no work, it's not engineering work. It's substandard engineering. Substandard engineering doesn't mean anything. So you can argue on that, I can argue on that. Quality is an issue, it was an issue, and it shall be forever an issue. We have to understand this point. If you don't understand quality, quality is very, very significant, not only in civil engineering, but also in all other branches of engineering, as well as everywhere in life, everywhere. You may be designer, you may be writer, you may be social worker, you may be professional, you may be engineer, doctor or manager. Wherever you are, indirectly and directly both qualities are involved. You do not take quality into showpiece. Showpiece does not indicate quality, it indicates only decoration. If I have very good dressing sense, my dress, my clothing is very good, my shoes are polished, I am using very good car, and I speak good English, it doesn't mean that I own quality. It doesn't mean that. Your production, what you do, that should tell what's your quality. Now what happens? You see, every day people are using round clock mobiles while driving, while walking, while in bed, while in bathroom. Well, I think this is not quality use of mobile. This is abuse of mobile. It's an example. Excess use of something is also bad for health. So you do not care for your health. So you are failing in quality of maintaining health. You are busy in listening to phone or talking, and you do not think of safety of others while driving. So you are not working quality wise. Safety of others is very important factor, and you risk your safety as well as safety of others. So this is not quality working. You should think that way. You have to take care of others as well. It's not that you take your own care and you forget others. It is not allowed. So that's also a part of quality. For example, you are sitting in home, you have many members in that family, and you are busy on mobile chatting and all that. You do not care for your mother, father, brother, sister. You don't care for anything. So there is no home in that case. Yes, there is a building, there is a housing, but there is no family because you are not interested in your family members. You are interested in those whom you do not know sometimes, you have not seen them. You are much worried about them. You are ready to respond to them, but you are not ready whatever with you. That's the point here. Quality plays very significant role in life, but it must be understood. People do not understand. They only criticize or see what he was doing. This, for example, one lady, one girl was killed by, was involved in, she was walking wearing a headphone. I think it's Bombay. She was walking and on level crossing, big level crossing, thinking there's clear, though armed barriers were down, were working, or closed, and she just crossed. She could not even listen to train coming, though there was many alarms, people cried, and then she was involved in train accident. Means she was free of mind. She never thought something would happen like that. Just a headphone in your ears, you cannot then listen anything. You cannot hear. So that way I'm saying somewhere some method was missed, quality was missed. She did not even think that if I am taking this risk, I may lose life. See, it's very dangerous. So quality must be everywhere. First, quality must be in your mind. Quantity is always in your mind, not quality. You can say everybody knows these days COVID-19. It means not national problem, it's world problem. But you see, people have forgotten it temporarily. That means there was a misconception without any basis that, oh, it has disappeared, it is gone. Where has it gone? There is no such announcement from any part of the world, but people assumed it has gone. Because of what? Because of misinformation. Nothing else. Misinformation from government, misinformation from people, and people started being carefree, and they thought, oh, people are enjoying life, life has resumed, lockdown has gone. But there was no such truth. And what happened? Life changed, pollution level rose up again, and people using life as a means as before, and now what happens? Now they have started saying, oh, it's come up again. See, neither it had gone nor it's come up again, it's still there. Only way was that you assume something. People assume something, okay, life has restarted, so it has gone. I talk with many people and they argue for nothing. It's conception, only deception, illusion of COVID-19. It's not their fault, I think. I say better not to debate with you because you don't understand facts. It is ignorance, I again say ignorance, misinformation or bad information or incorrect information. Every government is misinforming. Our government too is misinforming. They say we have won over this, we have done this, we have done that. Well, they have not done anything. And it's not our government. It means if you see England case, if you see USA case, if you see European case, if you see all others, only, when politics is heavily playing, when you see politics plays, it spoils people. In this also people are playing politics. This is health issue, health, safety and environment issue, ergonomics issue. In this also people play politics, and what happens? This impact of playing goes to people, and people are harmed. People are harmed. They believe news, and news are non-quality. In televisions, if you see, there is no quality of news. On every channel, generally, maybe leave one or two channels or 1 or 2% channels aside. On every news channels, you shall find fabricated news, fabricated debates. Everything is fabricated, everything is planned. Means there is no quality of news now. If you depend on television, public television channels, you will find that you will not get anything from that. Information is expected from news, truth is expected from news, but it doesn't work. This means there is no news. You can say it is only planned news. News are planted. Reality has gone off. Means it is planted news channels. Whatever they want to inform, they will inform that, and whatever they want to hide, they will hide that. While news should be free, it should be there should be no hide or seek in that, except addition is okay, means how to compose that news, that's okay, that's their right, but information that should reach, it doesn't reach. This means news is no more news. So where is quality then? Just running channel round clock doesn't mean you are a very good channel. You may have a largest supporters, you may have largest your viewers. It doesn't mean you are a quality news channel or a quality newspaper. If you want to write your minds or speak your minds in news, then this is your views, this is not news. So we have to understand where quality is. Everywhere it is. And you are user of TV, you are viewer, it's your right to get news because you are somehow paying them. But you also, there is no alternative for you. And also on social websites you will find same thing. These channels have started their news on these sites also. Means everybody wants its own interest. Nobody cares for national interest or international interest. Nobody cares. People do not speak for others. And that's what's happening. You can see what's happening every day. News from Palestine, from Israel. Violation news, you can say violence every day. Means you are killing people and you feel pleased with that. Yeah, there can be political disputes within the nations. It doesn't mean you kill people, you destroy people. It doesn't mean that. It's a kind of, I can say, quality foolishness. If you can't speak for others, humanity exists all over the world. It doesn't matter which country you belong to, you are a human being. Human must have some rights. Human must be supported by a human. But it doesn't happen. So what I'm saying is, I'm just giving you certain references of quality. Quality, there's no service in quality. There is no quality in service, both you can see. There is no service in quality and there is no quality in service. If an engineer can use rusted bars, how you think engineer type person who is considered very highly educated in society, I don't think there is any program in education which is more difficult than civil engineering. If you have experience about that or think about that, civil engineering is most difficult engineering from viewpoint of view, application of mathematics, application of imagination, application of, you can say, analysis, application of synthesis, and application of its design and field works separately. It's very risky because humans are involved and there can be any mistake can lead to accident. So you are, or civil engineering is such a field, such a, you can say, light field, I can say, a field where light exists, where knowledge exists. Because it is only civil engineering that converts soil or natural materials to artificial useful products. There is nothing in that except natural materials. Whatever materials you take, you cannot make any material on your own. You have to consider, you have to accept materials from nature and use them to your best requirement. And it is done. But again I say, factor of quality. It's very important. Quality means quality. It's not simply spelling, it is requirement, it is a command that engineer should do. Why should someone tell engineer? Engineer should do itself. It is your religion, quality. It's like you do. You practice your religion. Engineering itself is a religion because it's a kind of religion which changes society, which changes, it develops. You can say, and development means change. There is no field where civil engineering is not involved. It is involved in water, it is involved in sewage, it's involved in transport, it's involved in airport, you can say flights, it's involved in railway tracks, so you can say surface transport, rail transport. It's involved in water resources, dams, rivers, canals, headworks, weir, barrage. Where it's not involved? Wells, it used to involve in wells also. Sometimes long back, go back, you'll find how to excavate wells. I still remember how to excavate wells. It was a part of engineering. I think there is no place in society where civil engineering is not known. In every place in society around world, it is known. That's why means it is civility engineering. It is engineering involving humanity. So if involves is such a wide spectrum, its quality must be wide. Quantity is of course wide. Quality must be wide, and if quality must be wide means quality thinking must be wide, and applications must be wide. But where are applications? Applications we are talking. Whatever do you apply, that's application. Whatever you do, that is application. And if you do not take care of quality, then applications are quality less, you can say. Applications don't enjoy quality because you do not know quality by work. You know only in concept, okay, I certify that this has been done according to requirements or according to specifications. If you think that certificate is enough in quality, then you should better leave engineering and go somewhere else. Simply don't abuse your power. Quality doesn't know anybody, it knows itself. Do not rush behind quantity, because if you run behind quantity only, then quality lags behind and quantity goes ahead. Quality lags behind. Quality and quantity must go together. That is what is real requirement, but this doesn't happen. This doesn't happen, and there are many reasons behind that. Many failures, design failures, works failures, somehow those are related to lapse on quality. What investigations say, I do not go into that detail. But it may be quality of product or it may be quality of system. Both are involved. If there is a lapse in system, certainly it would harm its product. Because system is designed and maintained for quality product, it must be chained and linked to that destination of quality achievement, quality of product, product quality achievement. And if your system does not result that way, this means there is something missing in your system, and that system must be checked. You have to achieve quality through system, because without system you cannot apply methods. Method is also a part of system, just like design is a part of system. You can say application of engineering applications in engineering are not that easy as we think, and particularly civil engineering, which is called soil engineering, which is called raw material engineering, which is called thinking engineering, which is called innovative engineering. You can call that, because only engineering is to use natural materials directly on work is known as civil engineering. Construction is involved, design is involved, planning is involved, quality is involved, quantity is involved, safety is involved, health is involved, environment is involved. What is not involved? If you do plan something, you are planning of a country program, you must have knowledge of civil engineering. And if you don't have knowledge, then you must get that information from some professional civil engineer about your country. How much water do you need in coming 5 years? You cannot know otherwise. You have to take information from engineering. What is required in future? That's called planning. What do we have today? What resources we do have today? What population we shall have in 10 years, 15 years? And what resources we may miss and we may have. All these come under review of planning. And best answer can be given from engineering. How many liters water is required per day, per head? And that's how much you can say sewage outlet. Like that, you can say how many square of roads are required, how many kilometer roads are required, or other infrastructure required. Means everywhere you will find certain connection to engineering. Engineering, or you may say engineering science, or you can say applied sciences, whatever you can call it. That's what we say, I say, you say, everybody says. But we only say that that's a point. We only say. We don't take it seriously. But why don't we take it seriously? That is point of significance. That seriousness we have to understand, we have to realize. Only then we can say, yes, it is. If I don't care about that, I usually say we are a sleeping and non-serious society. We are a sleeping and a non-serious society. This I can say, usually I say like this, that our people, yes, it is true that we are non-serious, but people do not understand meaning of seriousness. That's another point. I say we are not serious, okay. What does it mean? See, it's a part of your observation and quality itself. When I say one should be serious, what do you think by that? You will think, oh, his face should be serious, he should not laugh, he shouldn't smile, he should not chat. People would assume that. No, it's not that answer. You laugh, you enjoy, you do everything, but you should be serious. It doesn't matter, I don't want to talk to you, I'm serious. No, that's not an answer. This means we say, when I say serious, it's a sequence. You see, if you ascend one stairways, go to landing, there may be 10 steps, 12 steps, 15 steps. And if you take one step, second step, third step, fourth step, you go on taking and you reach landing successfully. So this movement from zero or first riser to last riser and landing, what do you call it? It is continuous journey. You have not dropped somewhere and you continue ascending these steps up to landing, and you have reached your destination landing. This is called serious act. It doesn't mean you are serious by face, because if suppose you miss 3 steps, can you reach landing? You won't reach landing, you will collapse. You will collapse because you are a kind of missing steps. Either you take it with calculation, oh, I thought that moment and I raised my leg. Okay, that's fine, that's calculated movement. But if you're not thinking about that and by chance you missed 1 or 2 steps, You will either fall or collapse, and it will be accident. That's what I say. Your rising was quality based if you are serious in steps. And if you say no, I don't worry about that, certainly you will result in accident. So there's a factor you missed, and that factor is pinching. So when I say I take one step in my work and I reach step 2 or point 2, and this means up from moment of point 1 to moment of point 2 I succeed. Then you go to third and I say I reach third now. This means I have covered 1, 2 and 3. Means I have not failed. So this movement from 1 to 2 to 3 is called seriousness. And similarly, if I go to 4, 5, 6 like that, whatever numbers I have to reach, that is called serial number or a chain of serial numbers. And that serial numbers, if successfully done, it is called seriousness. You may laugh, you may enjoy, you may be happy. It has got no relation to seriousness. Your sequence must be cleared. Your sequence must be done successfully, and that is called seriousness. To be very frank, that is definition of seriousness. But people take it different way, and I can't answer that. Why they think it different way. So friends, when I say we are not serious as society. We do not concentrate on anything, and in fact, continuation of concentration, continuous of sequence this means you are serious in that. Maybe you delay something, but you reach your last point or destiny object you fix for. When you reach there, you can say that I have completed my journey, and this is serial journey. Your journey is serial journey. So this means that you are to some extent serious. That should happen. Here no one is serious. You tell me which product was completed in time. Why it did not complete in time? You may say this was one problem, this was another problem, this was third problem. Okay, there were problems, but what did you do to overcome those problems? You cannot simply say I left to that department to take care of this. What did you do then? How many times did you apply your efforts? This all part. If you are serious everywhere, I think there is no answer that you will fail. You will pass. Okay, you can't pass 100%. You will pass somewhere. If you ignore everything and because of you ignore, others ignore, so means there is a little gap. There is a little gap between you and other person. You are not serious, that's why that person is not serious. And that person is not serious because someone else is not serious. So being unseriousness, or you can say being not serious, is a defect in system. It's a system defect, and who can repair that? Who can replenish that property? That's where we say quality is missing. Quality misses everywhere, and that's why accidents do happen. We have to avoid those accidents. You can say then that quality should be linked to safety. Yes, of course, it should be linked to safety, because safety should be number one or first consideration. Because if you are not safe, you are not healthy, you cannot work. If I am not healthy, I cannot work. This point is as important, as equally important to every point. Even if you are not safe, even if you are not quality conscious, and if you get product, this means there is some error in product, some error, certainly. That product cannot be called quality product because you ignored everything. If you ignored everything, you cannot get quality. You can get defective products for sure. And that defect cannot be removed, cannot be corrected, because you did nothing on that. So quality is integrated part. It is an integrated part of engineering, and quality word, without quality word insertion into products, you cannot say this is product, this is quality product, world product. I do not find any quality anywhere here. You can see, everybody can see how traffic flows, how traffic flies on road. No quality. People have licenses, people have cars, everything, people have roads, but you see, how do they operate? Drivers do not know traffic rules, means they know normal rules. They do not know how to keep others safe, which is a part of traffic license. You have to protect yourself, you have to protect others. But how many do? No. They will blow horns for nothing. They will just use horns for sake of using horn. This is the first point where quality says they don't give way to other. Where is quality of driving? Is driving meant to compete fast only? You have to run fast only? Is that means driving? No, that doesn't mean driving. That doesn't mean driving. You have to keep, I have to reach. I don't care of these pedestrians. I don't care for this car. Why this car is ahead of me? Why it has, why it has overtaken me? Now I will overtake it. This is thinking is different, My car is big, so I have first right. Your car is small, second right. Somewhere only you can say illiterate people, ill-educated people, people who have no conscience for others, people who got no humanity angle within them, they act like that. And really it is not acceptable, at least to me. When you are on road, you are public person. Other two are public person. You use this road publicly, and public has every right to be safe. You have every right to keep them safe. You have every right to keep yourself safe. But if you do not, if you intermingle with regulations, though instantly, you are harming them, you are enrisking them, you jeopardize your life as well as their life. That right you don't have. That right is not yours. Everybody has its own right. You have to understand that point. Well, it's difficult sometimes to give so many examples. You could understand or you could not understand. But it is mandatory now that you must understand. Mandatory in spirit. You have no right even to kill yourself or to harm yourself. And government has no right to spoil your right. This is fundamental right, thinking. And that's why I say nobody can stop you from thinking, because thinking means privilege, and this means change. If you want to change, you have to think qualitatively. Yes, quantitatively too, but qualitatively first. Quality thinking, quality working, quality eating. You are very serious in quality eating, right? Quality, you can say performance, and approach should be quality, but people have limited thinking, that's why they don't do quality thinking. If you start thinking qualitatively, I can assure you will change yourself within a couple of weeks. Because quality thinking means truthful thinking, factual thinking, not fictitious thinking, real thinking. And you will find changed person within you. That's what quality gives you. Some people say, no, it's quality product. They claim falsely. because they do not know what is quality. When you do not understand what is quality, everybody cannot understand quality in every field. It's not possible. But even then, quality is quality. System it is. Yes, there can be modifications from time to time, depending on state, our current situation. But quality does not need money. Yes, it may need some money, but not all money. Quality is that. We have to really understand this point seriously. I am not wasting your time. You think so? I'm wasting your time just talking long? No, it's not long. I have seen it. I have seen it. Quality does not exist anywhere in our country. Nowhere. And even if so, I am interested to talk to you about this. You'll say, oh, this is useless topic. I am not interested in that. Yes, it's useless topic for you because you do not know meaning of quality. See, quality doesn't mean you are expending more. Just think that way. You are, and in fact, you are not going to spend anything more because it is your duty to give quality work. It's your duty. Not only product work also. Quality service, quality appointment, quality care we should have. And if we don't have, we have to have it. Then you can say, I don't know why our society has collapsed in this way. It's fundamental requirement. We boast about engineering. We boast about we are going to that planet and this planet. We boast about that. Boast, keep boasting. Keep thumping. But ground is most important than sky. If your ground is baseless, your superstructure shall be baseless, your foundation shall be baseless. Until you don't prepare a base, you cannot say you can do that building. So we have to analyze this point, synthesize this point, understand this point. If we cannot do it, I am sure we miss something. We miss something. So quality issue cannot stop, and I just try to share with you certain issue of quality in general. And yesterday I had discussions about some engineering construction items which only few we have. I just try to put in that paper which will show you. That is really important one, and that is specific. It's not general. It's general in construction, but very specific. That is, and that quality is, you can say checklist it is, and I'll do this. I'll take care of that now. Though it is written assurance, this is a requirement. This is not assurance alone. Just wait for a few minutes. I'll be back. Meanwhile, there are certain items. I'll explain what these items are. These are very important items. I'll explain. Just a few minutes, please. Let me go to terrace. I'll be back. Thanks. Hi guys, back. Thanks for cooperation. Hi guys. So quality again comes, and we are in world of quality. In fact, now this list which I am showing you, this page, this is about, you can say, checklist. It is in construction what we have to see. There's some items. Yesterday I discussed is setting out and excavation. I talked of how to set out and how to do excavation, what points you have to keep in mind. Then we talked about hand excavation. Then checklist of formation. We talked of formation. Formation means formation level, or you can say first, or you can say surface where we start our foundation work. Means where we start preparing formation or first ordinary concrete, or you can say blinding concrete we start. That's called formation level. And after that we discussed about blinding concrete, how it is done, what is blinding, what's purpose. Then took off concrete protection. What is this? What is definition of protection of waterproofing? So called conventionally called waterproofing, though it's protection of concrete. We had some idea on that. Then we talked of foundation, footings, preparatory works. Preparatory works we talked on that. For information, so that we can recall what we discussed. This says only page and reference oriented. That this is number 6. Now you can make your own number. It doesn't make a difference. If you want to write something, you can publish something on your own, but it's actually many years old document I'm sharing with you. Last time I shared with you when I could not publish it on screen, so I now publish it on through screen share, so that you can read also. I am speaking of my face is not important. Contents are important. My face is available on many videos, but because matter is more important, substance is more important. So it is about foundation, footings, and says whether or not protection applied on concrete protection. When you start foundation, you have to make sure you are going to do preparatory works for foundations. Means you must be sure that protection is there on blinding. Then your setting out is in accordance with lines, and in whatever is given on drawings, that setting out must be on site, must be done on site. Then rebar fabrication and assembly to requirements to design, that's another act. But be sure that rebars are not rusted. Again I am saying, just I talked and told about reinforcing bars, there is no acceptance of any rusted bars. There is no acceptance of the oil bars. If there is no oil on that, it's not acceptable. Any substance that comes in way of reducing bond between surface of steel, rebars and concrete, that material cannot be accepted. So the very best principle is any relation between strength loss of bond between concrete surface and reinforcing bar surface, that is not acceptable. It's basic of quality. I still remember just my, I think it was in one building, was involved in construction of that. I think it was 2004, 2003. There were some, these, what you call them, bees. Bees. Bees gathered on some preparatory works. It was humidity or some other issue. In our work was ready for pouring. This preparatory works for slab were ready. All works were completed: steel, filament, shuttering, all general electrical works, and whatever were required, those were completed before pour, concrete pour. One consultant, he inspected that, took me also there and said, "See, I'll show you something." Okay, fine, show me something. What's that? You see this place, there is oil on steel. I tell him, what you're talking? Yes, there's oil. This beam has oil in this steel. From where this oil has come? Well, actually, what had happened? There was some bees. People were afraid. Somebody put diesel in that portion. Some worker put diesel in that portion and it spoils steel. Of course, those bees were away, those were gone, but it still was there, just oiled. He says, "Are you going to oil in your concrete?" What are you talking? Why should you do that? So why did it happen? Who put diesel here? I said, I don't know. I'm not sure. They could use smoke or some other alternative to let bees go away. That's right. So what you do now? But I said, no, I don't know what to do. I see it's a beam and you say, I don't allow this bar. So I also don't accept. Don't allow this bar. I'm not going to accept. Even if you say I won't accept. So what happened? We had to take out that beam. How much work we had to do, see? We had to take out beams. He instructed, I don't want to see these bars on site. You cannot use them elsewhere. That's right. He was right in his capacity as an engineer. How can you use oil bars in your steel permanent work? This is what is quality. Means we have to take care of everything. We have to take care of every viewpoint. Otherwise, there is no meaning of quality. Means had that person not seen and nobody had noticed, what would happen? We would have poured that. Because until you know something pinpointed, nobody would care. Leave it, do it, who bothers? His consideration comes to mind, who bothers? Gone is gone, hidden is hidden. But after all, this will harm concrete, this harm structure, the bonding property you get, it's not acceptable. It's durability issue. How can you accept that? So rebars are fabricated and assembled to specification requirements. It is just an example, and it was not imaginary example. It happened with me on my project. That's why I say mistakes are mistakes you should accept. Because mistakes are because of you and due to whatever reason, you are not working independently there. You have to depend upon hundreds of people on sites. And many foolishes are available on sites where you have hundreds of people working on site, hundreds of workers. So all cannot be intelligent and all cannot be idiots. Some can be idiots there, and those idiots can make you idiot. So you have not to be made idiots by those idiots. Just be careful. I say be careful. Open your mind and be alert. Formworks of footings match design. Of course it should. Rebars are properly placed and fixed. Formworks are true to plumb and lines. Concrete spaces, whether plastic made or concrete made, are placed well. Whether or not cathodic protection required, I explained to you about sacrificial anode last time, and cathodes which are placed in one control room from where whatever corrosion happens is pulled and is extracted out by this technology of cathodic protection, which is critical and non-critical both. I explained to you last time that continuity is important in critical one, that it goes, the C clamps are put on every bar, all bars, top or bottom sides, and wire, thick wire goes around J wire, and then it's connected to all are connected to certain anode in that member at certain vertical point, and in some case one wire, some case two wires, some case three wires, depending on design of protection. This is done, and continuity made sure by electrical continuity by measuring voltage. Continuity is ensured. If it is critical cathodic protection, and if it is non-critical, in that case some boss and wires fixed in column basis or columns, or somewhere in column you can say. That's what's cathodic protection called, and corrosion protection you may say, as well as you can say also if it is coated steel or epoxy coated steel, then corrosion protection cannot be done like this. So on such projects where cathodic protection is contained, is included, there we can say that we have to use non-coated bars, and of course there's no issue of rust, and we have to protect steel reinforcing bars from adverse impact of rust. So by polythene cover or by whatever, we have to keep our steel, whether installed on site or it's still in yard or it's fabricated, everyone should be covered so that moisture does not reach that surface. And it must be a very important factor, though it doesn't mean that people don't understand this. People have common sense, they understand this. But other point comes in, if you talk to someone like this here, they will laugh. If you're talking, how we can do it? It's not possible, it will rust. That means logically define that it is not possible, it will rust. You cannot, because those people have no intellectual thinking, and they don't know anything how to protect from rust. If they think they can accept, but they won't. So formworks are true to plumbing ways. Concrete spaces where the plastic concrete mix are placed well. Whether or not cathodic protection required, if so required, followed by continuity check. Footing alignments better than grid reference, and what does it mean? Alignment means, what I mean to say is, alignment you have to check, or locations you have to check, and that should not be checked footing dimensions wise. What should be reference should be taken from grids which you have fixed on ground, that is x-axis and y-axis, A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, whatever grid you have fixed for that axis, that axis you fix on site, and axis of your footing should be same, and you should take measurement of the dimensions while you're checking from this axis of grids or these grid lines. You have to reference. So if there's an error, it shall be on that grid only. It will not accumulate to others. It will not be cumulative error, only local error it shall be. And you only use grids scale, only grids you use for measuring from this grid how many meter this way and that way, and you form dimensions. So it's called alignments better in grid reference, not in other reference. Footing top level, you have fixed vertical sides, you have fixed steel, you have fixed other requirements, and your inspection shows, and top level you have to fix. And don't forget you have to put vertical column bars also embedded in this footing. And supporting system for formwork sides, you have to support sides of this formwork. Very simple, it's nothing but bottom support, horizontal support and inclined support. Generally footings are not more than 40, 50, 60 centimeter when until it's very massive block, which is maybe up to 1 meter, 2 meter, 3 meter depending upon design. So there it's a problem, but here when it's 40 centimeter, 30 centimeter, one horizontal holding and then inclined you can fix. That's all I told. And then of course you can say concrete protection is not damaged during preparatory works because already applied concrete waterproofing on blinding, and that has continuous for verticality also. So it's more than horizontal base plus extension on both sides for vertical portions, so that should not be damaged while working there. We have to be careful with this. We must have done some protective layer on that waterproofing before doing formwork. Previously, we used to do some cement mortar on that, very thin cement mortar just for protection of that base. That's maybe 20 mm, maybe 10 mm, 15 mm, something like that. Protective mortar on that waterproofing. So, ensure that concrete protection is not damaged during preparatory works. Then, safe access to all footings and strong working platform for workers and vibrators. Vibrators erected before inspection for pouring concrete. Means temporary work with safe access to footing area from ground outside. You have to go and there working area is excavated. There's no direct entry. You have to make some access platform to reach there to all footings. And of course you have to stand there somewhere. If you stand on ground or you stand on some platform, it depends on site conditions. And you have to prepare on platform also, temporary platform for workers to stand and work. Vibrator is erected before also, and you have to, of course, before inspection, vibrator there. Water hose pipe must be available. All foundations are accessible to all foundations conveniently without wasting any time or without any accident. Then curing arrangements are made available. Both arrangements curing compounded water. Then curing arrangements are made available, and concrete covers, for concrete covers what we say, in certain cases thicker cover is specified for stub column portion for which extra size of stub needed executed. Ensure that care is taken. Now stub columns preparatory works. The stub columns preparatory works, which is very important point here. Stub columns preparatory works. Well, I don't know people understand the stub column or they don't understand stub column. It's very ordinary term, and it is used for portion of a column which starts from footing, concrete I'm talking, which starts from footing and goes to plinth level, or you can say first level of building. It goes to there. It may be, if there's a basement, it may be basement floor, which you can consider plinth floor in basement case, and that portion concealed or embedded in ground, that is called stub column. It's very small height, but section is same as superstructure column, and little more. We take cover different in foundations or stubs, because in soil cover should be 50 mm or 60 mm, while in superstructure cover of column steel and concrete surface can be 40 mm in superstructure. So there can be difference of 10 mm to 15 mm or 20 mm in this cover between columns within soil and column above ground. That's, you can say, stub column. I think you understand this point, the definition of stub column. Now ensuring, you have to see, setting out for stub columns. Setting out for stub columns in line with drawings requirements. That's as usual. You have to take grids. Remember, concrete steel is already in. You have to think of forms. It should be according to plans, and action should be taken of the small, though the dimension is small, only from grid references and not from other reference. Then fabricated rebars are fabricated, and whatever is done already means you have to provide rings, whatever are left, or if there is some other service there, mandatory service, could be, or there could be cathodic protection, means whatever it could be. Then touch up paints, if it is epoxy coated steel, this is only informative that there may be some cuts on that coating. You have to repair that by epoxy coated rebars. You have to repair them. Construction joint is correctly scabbled or chipped or hacked. This construction joint means where junction of foundation and column, where column starts, you must within that column small section, you have to scabble that surface where bars are already in, and you have to remove all latents. You have to expose aggregates clearly, and where you can then say it's fine, then we can say this is called construction joint preparation. Then concrete covers, you have to fix between shutters and formwork and steel bars, well tied up, and so that these are fixed until concrete is laid, grip well. So formwork as usual in all directions, you can say well secured, propped, fixed, and all forms vertically is in dimensions and plumb, and we make it like this so that superstructure column also goes that way. There should be no vertical error, there should be no horizontal error. Then plinth or other beams, if you have any, if it is required, you have to provide dowels for that, or you can prepare that also, depends on you how you want to do that. There is no hard and fast mandate on this. If you can cast monolithically, that's welcome, means do it monolithically. Of course you have to do a little hard work in that, but no problem. And if you want to do in stages, you can do in stages. Then steel dowels are in place if it's required, casting separately. All supports are properly fixed at bottom and the top stub, bottom of stub and the top stub, if not more than 1200 mm high. And steel clamps or shikanjas are placed, duly tightened or fastened, or tie bolts are fastened well. Then we have to make sure whether or not pipe sleeves, if there are pipe sleeves installed for tie bolts passing through column body or through battens outside. Cathodic protection required, we have to make sure, and if so, whether or not it is critical. If it's non-critical, whether bosses and GI wires are available, and then water hose pipe is available or not, we have to make sure. Then curing arrangements are available or not. Then safe access to stubs during concrete, and we must have strong working platform or plates for crew to work, and vibrator are placed before inspection for pouring concrete. This is stub column, very small quantity, very small quantity, so you cannot cast one column at a time. You should prepare for, I think, at least half column. You can cast half, means half column of one floor. You can pour in one time. You cannot cast each separately. This is not economical, not way. You have to keep into this seriousness that what I know is this. We'll go to backfill works. Backfill works. Item 8. Backfill works, very important work. We can say structurally very important, otherwise also backfill work means I defined what is backfill before. You can say selected fill or imported fill or desert fill. Materials are approved and recommended derivative materials are made available, and that is, if you want to add some other better material to this not very good material, so that resultant material is a graded one, interlocking one, densifying one. We have to increase capacity of that material to backfill in a way that it densifies as much as possible. Means it gets more and more density, and that is good for after compaction it should get density, and once it is densified in future also it will consolidate easily. So that property we have to provide in as additive material to desert fill or imported fill, and stocks of backfill are located somewhere according to your plan, and there you can say it can be done. So screening of larger particles, you have to take out all particles about 75 mm, which is not permissible backfill. Then screening of large particles is well done. Then watering on material is affected for initial mixing. Whether or not all substructural activities are completed, including block or brickworks. So backfilling means all activities in foundations must be completed before backfilling starts, and that includes all your concrete production items as well. So you can say all rubbishes and debris should be out, cleaned, concrete protection applied on all surfaces, and well protected, bottom portion of shoring removed, stages of shoring removal during backfill progression, ensure backfill approvals, necessary equipment available, shovel, small roller, plate compactor, and decide number of backfill layers, which is very easy. Number of layers, you take very small layer. Now you can say density we have to achieve. So we have to clear all undue elements, all non-required elements. Then all surfaces are ready, well waterproofed and well protected. We have all equipment, shovel, small roller, plate compactor, etc. Then we have to decide about number of backfill layers. You can divide this depth by 10. Of course, we can say backfill layers can be decided number of backfill layers by dividing depth to be filled with 150, divide with 150, you will find backfill layers, number of backfill layers. Field density tests required from every layer, you have to keep in mind, and how many number of passes by small roller or plate compactor. You can experiment that, that's not big deal, but it should be compacted and watered first so that it is ready for backfill. Alright, number of backfill layers you have decided. We have to fill every layer, we have to densify it, and we have to test it. Then number of passes we know, and jumpers we use at corners or where otherwise we cannot access using plate compactors. This is ordinary backfill I'm talking of. Then you see, when there is backfill by grade measurements, there is backfill by other methods. I already talked structural backfill or engineered backfill or ordinary backfill. Then we have to go to checklist for grade slab. Grade slab means ground slab, or you can say slab at plinth level. People call it floating slab also because it's not connected to structural items. It just at that point it doesn't answer. So we have to take care of all that. It's very important point. So grade slab now is item number 9. And ensure that backfill carried out properly to underside of grade slab. Blinding, underside of grade slab blinding. Ensure requirement to comply with field density. All type of services required before grade slab must have been carried out, duly tested successfully for first fix. No pipe surroundings have been done in compliance with specification. We have to make sure that every service that has been laid below must comply with specification. And we can wait for 2 more days. Here they come. Hmm. So we continue, right?
Mm.
So it is right. Grade slab backfill carried out properly to underside of grade slab blinding requirement so to comply with field density. All type of services required below grade slab have been carried out duly tested successfully for first fix. Whether or not pipes surrounding have been done in compliance with specifications, whether or not blinding shall be required, and if so, establish top of blinding levels. Hmm. Blinding levels. Necessary blackouts provision forms have been provided. Blackouts for electrical or air conditioning if or something else water supply if so, or if anything like WC, whatever you can say, if it's required, backfill is required, you have to do it. Then water proofing concrete production. On plinth beams or plinth walls must be done, and also ensure proper profile of proposed concrete for blinding works. Proper profile of proposed concrete for blinding works. Blinding is not required in case check for grade slab. In case you don't want to blind, is can be means after concrete part is better. Don't do unit it. Do it separately because blinding is to be protected. Protection is more important, and it is better to keep blinding separately so that if there is any problem with soil, it should be with blinding and not with mere main concrete. So just think of that angle rather than think of saving time. Means some people can accept anything. It doesn't mean that it it comes under ambit of quality. That point we are stressed. Then ensure proper ensure waterproofing concrete protection on plinth beams or plinth walls or HC has been done if required and properly duly protected. Then proper profile of proposed concrete for blinding works. Blind is not required, then means it's an option, it's not good option, but some people accept, some people don't. But if you ask me, I would say blinding should be provided, duly protected, and on that we have to do grade slab. Polythene, see blinding is polythene isolation membrane is in place. Then perimeter joints materials are placed properly, which is flexible sheets generally and sealed above at surface with grade slab, that is polythene sealing, that is sealing, mastic sealing or some other perimeter joints which are placed properly. So either on blinding top with polythene membrane or directly on polythene membrane on compacted soil. So polythene membrane only acts as the barrier between soil and concrete. So you can say polythene isolation membrane is in place and perimeter joints materials are placed properly. Perimeter joints materials are placed properly either blinding top with polythene membrane or directly on polythene membrane or compacted soil. Welded fiber mesh is placed in. Welded fiber mesh is placed in according to specifications. What kind of mesh is given? 93 or more. These meshes are actually given by designations, and those designations means in that mesh in 1 meter length, how many square millimeter sections of steel is contained in that mesh. You got to find the 1 meter, for example, maybe 4 or 5 bars, 6 bars. What's a square millimeter of 1 bar and all these bars 1 meter? That is designation of PRC, or we can say welded wire mesh, WW. And welded wire mesh designation is defined by square millimeter of bars contained in 1 meter width, and that is designation. And it may be 8 mm, it may be 6 mm, or whatever size. What is square millimeter in 1 meter? That square millimeter area is designated. Its designation, you can say, you can order by that description. Then we can say adequate supporting chairs are placed in chairs of steel bars so that your location of weld wire is in correct position. Generally, it's provided in middle of slab. Your slab is 150 mm ordinary, so you have to see accordingly what size of chairs accepted. Not necessarily big long chair, small SL, small width of chairs. Against then electrical instrumentation, communication are completed, whatever are required before pouring or inserts. The fix, we have to fix, and adequate area is available for smooth pour. How to pour it, it has see, and the profile is fixed correctly, and that is what inspection and pour and all that. RCC columns for works. RCC columns, you first read this, take you all 5-10 minutes, because a column is you can say kind of very complicated activity, and preparation work must be well done, and that's about RCC column. Let us see how it works. It's a very important point. You cannot leave it on its own. Hold on, please. What is just please? Sorry, I thought I kept you waiting, but what to do? I had some walk. Sorry, gentlemen, we kept you hung. So, with the RCC column work, very important work, we have to keep into consideration this. It's very important part of element of building a structural base. It is, and without this, nothing is possible. We have to keep this point in mind. Sorry. Sorry. Sorry, regret. Okay. So somebody asked me kahan gaye. No problem. Just there's some problem in my food. No problem. Thank you for concern. I'm here and not gone anywhere. So a little relaxing because of some problem. And this column member is always very important. Without column member, nothing is possible. Column is real member of building or structure which takes every moment or load finally and transmits to foundation. Column which is not quantity wise very high, but it is very important. Its scaffolding system, its working platforms are very important. Temporary works, temporary actions, and we must be very careful about that. So items scaffolding with working platform is in position for access around columns for preparatory works. Rebar fixing is correct to requirement which must be made sure. Overlap should be fixed correct to specifications. Lowest ring should start at half of spacing. Locations from structural level, this means when you fix reinforcement rings, struts, you can say, struts in columns, steel, main bars already in because you have placed starter bars just to either provide mechanical connectors for next bars or you have to provide overlapping for next bars. From bottom half spacing should be for first ring. If you say 15 centimeter center or 20 centimeter center, if it's 15 then you can 7.5 centimeter first ring, or if it's 20 it should be 10 centimeter first ring and others should be equal spacing. So lowest ring should start half spacing. Location from structural level. Then rebars be well tightened, fastened and maintained in plumb. These must be clean, free from rust. People do not take it very seriously, but you cannot use rusted bars. No way. You have to either remove rust using steel wire brush, or if it's too much you have to do blasting on that, sand blasting, liquid blasting. You cannot allow rusted oxides in bars permanently. If somebody does it, that person does against propriety of engineering. So your bars must be clean, shining, free from dust, scaling, rust, and if sacrificial anode is fixed, if required, as part of you can say cathodic protection, if sacrificial anode is fixed, if it's required, I'm saying, not mandatory. And if it is epoxy coated steel and there may be some cuts or some portions where you have to apply touch up paint in case of coated bars, if it is, otherwise no problem. And electrical and other required inserts are fixed and approved. Inserts means electrical conduits maybe, or some other portion of switch panel to fix in. There can be electric conduits and switch panels in columns. It happens generally. But be careful that no concrete should go into those portions. Properly, polystyrene must be embedded in the switch panel portion. Otherwise, concrete will go in and fill in, which can cause blockage of conduits as well as switch panel. So, precaution must be taken. Sometimes even electricians cause this mistake. They do not care for that, and that conduits as well as your switch panel is lost and it can't be used. Then concrete spacers are placed in position. Concrete spacers or concrete covers, particularly if your own manufactured covers you built on site, that's much better than everything else. Better than your plastic covers, or you can say plastic means high density or medium density plastic covers. These concrete covers are much better than those because these are controlled conditions by you. These conditions of production of concrete covers you control under your supervision, and this is same material, same family material as concrete is, so it's better, it takes better grip, and you use this way. Is same family, plastics different family. Then avoid excessive spaces, means as many spaces as required to keep them in position. And if you think that top up to area to concrete, in that if you can move with spaces, means better if you can avoid other spaces. And you have to make sure that steel reinforcement remains in position. So avoid excessive spaces within column main body, and if it's not required, you can take them out if you think that only top portions can work in. Now these spaces are fixed on top portion out of top of concrete. All inspection you have to do, you have to conduct inspection before closing rebars by formwork, and electrical guy must inspect if switch panel or other items, or maybe some other inserts you think. With industrial structure there could be steel inserts, possibly heavy steel inserts for many purposes. If it is industrial structure or structure like heavy or thick member I mean when its size, minimum dimension of column is more than 800 mm or 80 centimeter, and quantity is say 8 cubic meter minimum, you can say it's thick member. And in such cases on site some tanks based steel sections are inserted in for various purposes. So that's not given here, but I'm just referring in that inspection. It can be, will go to compressor foundations, and they all talk of this. Inspect before closing this rebars by formwork, and it's also to be made show that you did cooker or no. Well, if it is done, it's okay, and it's not done, it's not no crime. Means if you can pour column without internal kicker or concrete kicker, I think that's better if you can do that, because kicker always causes issue. If you are in a position to make external timber supports in place of thing in kicker, that may work. I done many times, provided externally barricades for movement of this forms. Means external timber based kicker rather than doing concrete kicker inside. Then internal kicker can be avoided, which is better because you already prepare construction joint. On the kicker again you have to prepare construction joints, means scaffold this and that, so it's better to do once. It depends on how expert your people are, how expert your carpenters are, and how you direct them. There's no hard rule as such. It depends on your expertise, if they can do. Then you have to check forms which you all fix in position correctly. Then supporting system you have to check because it is column, and you must understand where this supporting system, where propping should be. It's very important point. Side supporting system intact. Grid offset thread lines are available. Now, first is the supporting system, which I like to discuss because already threads are there, or if you are not using thread, your other electronic instruments are there. But I will say first keep it ready. You must have fixed all this ready before erecting these columns. And generally, what you used to do is there are axis of column. Axis of column means whatever axis you consider grid of column, a grid in both directions, x axis and y axis. Certainly, you get A, B, C, D, and on other side is 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have to measure those grids. From that grid, you must have fixed dimensions of columns. Only from axis grids, not from otherwise. Do not measure from center to column. Just check grids so that if there's scars added by mistake, it should be only in local column, not in all columns. And do not accumulate that mistake. So grids are very important. And we say that you fix your fixed dimensions of column, and then you have to make sure how to keep it vertical, how to keep in position, what position it's in top, same position to bottom, and then in middle as well. So for that purpose you must have some thread line or string that will be say 1 meter from axis in both directions, or more or less depending on how you can check this actual manual calculation. I'm telling you, you may have some instrument, but I believe in this. If you keep 1 meter thread say, or 1.2 meter thread or string from axis line of both sides, both ends, you can say there's 18 mm ply or 20, whatever ply you use, then there must be 20 or 50 mm battens. Then there's another batten, you can say what, when you hang some stone or some big block from top of that what I call axis or that form, you have to measure verticality, how to measure that plumb. I don't know whether you people understand this or no. Then you should do that. Means this is a system, very manual generated system, that you have to provide strings and you have to provide long vertical plumbs with heavy stones or old pieces of concrete, and then not ordinary plumb. Then you have to say that first the string, the location is okay from axis, what should be, you have to take that 1 meter minus axis, half of axis minus plywood thickness minus, and then whatever thing is final measurement, that should be, it should be same on at least at both locations of column. On one side you have to make sure on top as well as at bottom. Say 4 meter height column it is, or 5 meter height column, depending on what size of column you are going to pour. You have to see top position, you have to see bottom position, and then you also see middle as well. But when you check two positions on both sides, and also you check plumb, then when the plumb is fine, is within limits, it means top section and bottom section, also middle section is same. And you have to take into your review into consideration tolerance on plumb, 1 millimeter and 1 meter maximum. Don't be very optimist about that. If you keep tolerance of 1 millimeter in 1 meter, this means it's a 4 meter column, so it should be not more than 4 meters total. If it's more than 4 meters, means your quality, your workmanship is not acceptable, even though you have to plaster later on. But I'm talking of fair face. If you have today fair face concrete, this is very important point, that your plumbs in both directions should be within tolerable limits. Maybe your specification allow you higher. Don't accept specification, accept as what you think. So You have to first take into consideration the location of your column on both directions, x, y, x-axis and y-axis, and you have to provide supporting system also, which should be very important point before doing all this. So when you are sure of plumb, it's within 1 mm, 1 meter depth or height, and your dimensions are fine, you think that your position of propping or inclined scantlings, you can say bottom one is already fixed. You can't change that. Bottom one at your zero level of column or slab level of column is already fixed. Your top you have fixed by strings, and top one is fixed. And your plumb you have is okay. So what is final is supports. Already support is at top and at bottom, two locations, but this will keep your column only in position. Already there may be tie balls externally, preferably keep externally. If no way, you can keep internally in column body, but that should be with sleeves. You cannot do otherwise. And if you are keeping externally with shikanjas or clamps, it's okay, it works. But once you have checked dimensions, sizes and velocity of this formwork, then you have to jump onto propping system, because supports would work bottom and top and others. There is fluid pressure within column, and you should know what is fluid pressure. If you have convex or hydraulics or fluid mechanics, you must know pressure of water. If you have reservoir, pressure at top is 0. WH intensity, WH is vertical pressure, that is H, and W is considered 1 ton into H height, and you say it's force on vertical surface. If you take triangular variation from 0 at top to WH at bottom, 0 at top level to WH at bottom, this is generally triangular display of representation of pressure. So you can say that triangle which you find, its area should be pressure. You can say half base into height. So half WH, that's intensity of pressure at bottom, and 0 at top. So half WH into, if you take, this is half WH into H over 2, is you will find area and movement of that area both. You can say where is maximum pressure applicable. You can say it's 1/3 height from base and 2/3 height from top. If you have this pressure with you, WH square or 2, and if you consider it at a point 1/3 from bottom, so moment is WH square over 2 into 1 over 3, or WH over 2 into H over 3. So this WH square, you will find that this moment in tons meter shall apply on that portion. So your column shutter, your column formwork should be resistant to this pressure and your movement temporarily till poured concrete is hardened. It may take few hours. When you start means it will vary accordingly. You cannot just, because you cannot fill column in one go. We'll talk it later when you do concreting procedure. We are not just done, but when you calculate formwork and somebody asks you to give calculations of formwork, you have to provide calculations for formwork. It is to be done. You cannot leave that. It is also temporary work, structural work. your formwork. There's plywood, there's clamps, there are battens, complete framework, and it must be enough strong that it can resist fluid pressure. And when you fill your column, there will be pressure of 1/3 from bottom. It must resist. That's basics behind formwork design. Means formwork must be that stronger. That was I wanted to explain. Now we go back to, if you keep this dimensions checks, plumb checks, and your propping system intact, and then pour, well, I think you should be confident. The reason being that you cannot pour in one go. It's not allowed. You know yourself why not allowed. Because compaction is required to be done. And if fill column say once 4 meters, you cannot compact it. Compaction of concrete or density is required. All air bubbles should be out, and that can be done only by application of vibrator, nozzle type internal vibrator. You have to apply it every layer of 40 centimeter, 400 mm, because nozzle is generally that much, including its complete system. Your vibrator nozzle must reach through height of layer. So you cannot do it 4 meters. Therefore, I think 400 mm is acceptable depth. And when you vibrate it, then you can pour another layer and vibrate it. Likewise, but you cannot pour one column together all time. You have to make a sequence of columns, 10 columns, 15 columns, 20 columns, depending on how much you have, what formwork you have. And then you have to fill it in rotation. One layer you fill, go to other column, or at least fill 3 layers. Let us say fill 40 mm, 400 mm, and then vibrate, and the 400 vibrate. Or let us say 3 layers to fill, and you are sure that your vibrator nozzle is going to puncture into first last layer or interlock into that. So yes, let's say 2 or 3 layers you fill in one go. You go to other column, repeat same, go to other column, repeat same, and be sure that your platforms which you built on that must be available everywhere. So I will talk about this later, but now only scope in this item was formwork. So we are doing preparatory formworks in steel. So we say, as we see in this noting, that forms are fixed in position correctly, supporting system intact, thread lines are available, offset thread lines in both axes reference to ascertain column location, and bolts are fixed, preferably outside of column sections. Do not tighten them immediately, but after ensuring locations on plumb. Top inclined support meant for keeping forms in position. Support located and fixed at 1/3 from bottom is meant for resisting resultant fluid pressure during pour. Bottom horizontal support is meant for holding form work full. That is bottom horizontal portion support is meant for holding footwork. Check whether not heavy plumb bob are hung from top of forms on at least 2 sides on both axes. Heavy plumb bob means either use a heavy concrete piece or block wire, etc. Binding wire can also be used. Hang to hang heavy weight. Timber piece can be fixed on top to hang bob this heavy concrete piece or block. Check form location at bottom, then at top on both axes. Check location somewhere at middle. Ensure form location check. Ensure form location check plumbs in both directions at 3 locations. Vertically in full height casting. check adjustments if so required to bring errors within permissible limits. Once forms are checked for horizontal and vertical location, start fastening ties and ensure supports are well anchored. Having completed various columns preparatory works, move for working platform, which is temporary work, operation and check stability of system, and then plan for inspection and pour, which will take later on. So this is about columns. Now walls, RCC walls. Now my only purpose in this method is that casting full height is better than casting in pieces, in parts. If column is 4 meter or less than 4 meter, or it may be more in some cases of deep structures, maybe you have to cast more, but let us consider normally 3 to 4 meter or 4 meter. If you cast one day, one go, it's excellent, because of course you have to take measures as I discussed about protection of bulging. Bulging may be there. You know what is bulging? Opening of forms, and when forms are released, this bulge happened. Means concrete comes out, but not doesn't means a metal comes out. I mean, it comes out of its surface or its plumb. So that point bulging, which is a risky material, later on you have to repair it. So, but if you take control correctly, if you think your strong form work means not conventional form use, people just go for 1 meter casting and then 1 meter casting and 1 meter casting, which is like kids, kids play. You are engineer your resources. You can cast 4 meters and which will save your time. 4 meter casting is not easy in construction, but it takes time for form work and time for moving to support structure. So be careful if you want to cast full. I think it's cast all over world. Only in our country say 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter, due to lack of resources. But now you have pumps, you have all resources. You are with us. You have no right to say that you cannot do it. I was surprised when one engineer in Abu Dhabi with me, he said, no, I am going to cast this wall of swimming, not this swimming, cooling water. So cooling water pool, or you can say this was severe as the basin, which height was 10 meters, and because I will cast in one go. Yes, they are brave people, and proprietary shutters are available, proprietary formworks are available all, or maybe here not available, but we had this strong design of formwork walls, this thing. That's what I say. The checklist for RCC walls works. Item 1, item 11, walls. Walls is like column but little different, because in column there are 4 sides, in walls there are 2 sides. That's the only difference. And a wall may be disconnected to columns. When you have isolated wall, which is more difficult. If it's fixed to columns, it is a little less difficult. It depends what sort of wall we have. There can be lift RCC walls. There can be, certain structures which require RCC walls. It depends on, or it may be retaining wall as well. It may be basement wall. All are walls. Scaffolding with working platform is in position. That is very much important. Without scaffolding, which is part of temporary work, cannot do anything. And also in columns, you need that. I did not use that. All temporary works. Scaffolding is a very important part. People stand, work, and if you are working at up to 2 meters height, I think up to that time you can use ordinary scaffolding. But if you go beyond 2 meters, you must have, because if a person falls from that height, even on floor, there's risk to life and safety, health, and environment. Working or accommodation methods require that you must have safety first, and then safety first is that you must have scaffolding system which allows people safely to go up, to go to higher levels. So scaffolding with working platform must be in position for access to both sides of walls for preparatory works. In column, we are just around column, but here we have to go on both sides. We have to show the double crew, one this way, one that way, required. Rebar fixing is correct. So of course, first you have to do rebar fixing. This question of wall and columns. You have to do rebar fixing by whatever method, as I said, either using concrete, mechanical mechanical connectors, or jumping into welding issue and then doing welding within that area. It doesn't take much time. Scaffolding is a must. It's temporary work. Rebar fixing is correct requirement. Overlap should be fixed correct to specifications requirement, and as I said, level ceiling should start half spacing, as I said in column, half spacing location from structural steel, and show that rebars be well tightened and maintained in plumb. Here again we have to take references from grid lines. Of course, a wall thickness is not that much, but whatever it is, it is. So UR rebars, again I say, as I say in columns case, do not take them lightly, because they are going to be permanent concrete for permanent inclusion, and also these are not tinted, colored or dusted. If you procure immediately, then try to take portion out. If it's every 30-40 minutes, I think. This point is very important here, specification is overlapping and all that. There are cases where you have to use higher diameter bars. Probably you design in a way that don't use more than 12 mm is possible. If now it's very heavy load, you need more, 20 mm, 25 mm. Even if you design the limited state method, then you can say that you have to use preferably mechanical connectors and not overlap. You must have seen mechanical connectors. I used them in 1986. It was 14 plus 20, about 34 or 35 years. It's going to come back. So better to understand this, and then U-shaped bars or even if required rings are tightly fixed in position and well secured and anchored. Then ensure rebars are clean and free from rust, and touch up paint required if it's epoxy coated. Touch up is very important in that case. Then electrical and other required inserts are fixed and approved. Concrete spacers or concrete blocks are placed in position on both rings sides. Then you can say, then artists say, if we go forward, all concrete spacers are placed in position. Avoid excessive spaces, use only minimum space with wall main body, not required to take out. And you have to put on both sides of steel. And these spaces are fixed on top of concrete. Ensure all inspections before closing rebars and formwork by formwork. If you can close formwork of wall, then a inspector cannot see rebars. Whether or not the starter kickers are convenient, it's up to you. Start mandatory, you must have kicker. If you can avoid this, because walls are thin, not thick, and there's a problem, and also problem of working out to show which is better thickness. Then I've seen some sites as well here. I find people don't understand anything. Of course, then you can say can say, so we have to find all this supporting system intact one side when bolts are used, or we have to pass these bolts through wall, through you know plastic pipes, strong rigid plastic pipes. Then we have to make sure our strings locations from grid within limits on both axis references, so that wall is in position that can be ascertained. Tie bolts fixed, as I said, preferably inside valve section. These bolts pass through plastic spaces leaves with bosses attends, and do not tighten them immediately, but after ensuring both location and plumb or verticality. Top inclined supports meant, again I say, to fix this in state. Fix at 1/3 from bottom. So middle supports and located and filled up at bottom. A can say for middle support located and fixed at 1/3 from bottom is meant for resisting resultant fluid pressure during force, and before that top inclined surface is meant for keeping forms in position. We have to understand this point. This is hydraulics or fluid mechanics, and till concrete is hardened, it's considered fluid. In beginning, it's very fluid, and then it goes site, it little reduces. But at site, you are free because you have no responsibility till now. Yes, it's always to, I should complete that something. Then you say bottom. Bottom horizontal supports meant for holding footwork, and whether or not heavy plumb bobs are hung from top of foams on at least 3 or more locations, depending on length of wall, RC walls. Heavy plumb bob means either use heavy concrete piece or fix by then we say again, we go forward. Bottom horizontal supports meant for holding forward foot. Heavy plumb, as I explained how to use, and heavy concrete piece of brick, whatever you can use, binding wires can also be used to hang heavy weight, or timber piece can be fixed on top to hang bob, and case proprietary system is used in place of fabricated one. Check system is in line with system manufacturer drainage. Timber piece can be fixed. Says heavy bob means either use heavy concrete piece or concrete cup. We can move further on this. Still we have time. Timber piece can be fixed on top of hang bob in case proprietary system is used in place of site fabricated one. Check system is in line with system manufacturer's drawings. First check from location at bar bottom, then at top. Check location system somewhere at middle. After ensuring form location, check plumbs on all locations vertically and full height casting. Check adjustments if so required to bring errors within permissible limits. As I said, permeable limit 1 millimeter in 1 meter is permeable limit in plumb. Once forms are checked for horizontal and vertical locations, start fastening ties and ensure supports are well anchored, as I said, discuss with that. Having complete, yes, about this tie rods, what how the location should be, you may ask this question. We have to make sure that in 1 meter, 3 bolts on average are used 1 meter. That 1 meter variation in 1 meter, 1 millimeter variation 1 meter is acceptable even if it goes to 1 meter. Well, now having completed various walls preparatory works, moved for working platform, that is in temporary work, operation and check available stability of system. Pour and plan inspection pour, check adequate working space and available within walls. Uh, then you go to, plan for inspection pour and check adequate working space is available within wall preparatory works above passes of pump pipe down to at least 1.5 to 2 meter above lowering. So this point means you have to make sure that your vibrator reaches down to a height of minimum 1.5 to 2 meters from bottom of column, which is specified limit, so you can at least move up to that level comfortably because walls are not very thick. You may have to use different type of I can say not bigger vibrator, than you may use half inches vibrator nozzle, and this pipe generally held by trainers to fix in position with that. As you can say, check adequate working space as I said, and you come later then. Remember that wall pour is slow, it's very slow. It's very very slow, you can say, because you have to pour little quantity. If you just consider 1 meter, say 5 meters length of wall, 5 meters one and 4 meters height, so it's 20 square meter and let's say 15 centimeter thick, so 20 into 0.15, you can say it's 3 cubic meter only. Check it, 520 into 0.15, so 3 cubic meter, and that's in 4 meters, say 4 meter, and in 1 meter is how much? So you have to take care of everything. Then we have to go to the other item. Let's check this for our lift valves. Lift valves. It's very difficult. Lift valve. If you have done it, I don't know, because here I have seen very little RCC lifts. Generally, people do block valves in that, which is not acceptable from various points of views. RCC lift valves. This is very important point. We must be very serious in this case because it's very extraordinary system. You have to use extraordinary. Not means we have to buy from somewhere. You have to do it your way. It's interesting, and you can say when we talk of the system, we talk of mind. In this system, even it's lift bank or it may be independent lift, it depends. It's single elevator, twin elevator, or 3 elevator, or 4 elevator. Whether it's a bank or it's a unit, it depends on that. Doesn't matter, but there's a door at every floor. This lift has a door. Lift that we are going to do in one story. We say ensure scaffolding with working platform is in position, which is temporary work, and it's a kind of repetition. We say this is quality. Of course, it is a requirement, safety requirement. So this is related to quality of safety. Scaffolding with working platform remains in place for access of both sides of internal and external surfaces of lift. If it's proprietary, is fine. If it's a proprietary, or you can do yourself, depends. Safe ingress and egress to and from inside of lift. Well, because when shutters are there, I'm just saying, when shutters are there, steel is there, you cannot come out from internal spaces. Whoever work on that. Face chase problems. So scaffolding is within, and you have to make sure that access to system or ingress to system and egress from there are available, are properly done. From lift well, we call it lift well. All other safety measures such as green tags are installed. Safety measure. Then rebar fixing is correct. We'll make sure to requirement. Rebar fixing, which is everywhere, and also you have to make sure no rust, and if you have epoxy coating, no cuts. That is requirement of rebar fixing. Overlap should be fixed correct. If really you are overlapping, or if it's higher bar size, you may use mechanical connectors, which is best one. And same lowest link should be at half spacing, and others on same. This as I did talk in walls and in columns. Lowest link half spacing. From physical location from structural level, ensure rebars be well tightened and maintained in plumb. U-shaped bars, or even if so required, rings are rightly fixed in position and well secured, or internally U-shaped bars in lifts are required at corners or at, you can say, intermediate walls. Then ensure in particular corner U-bars in both directions, making a perpendicular. And it says L joints there though also. It says usage will be perpendicular to each other. Ensure the bars are clean and free from dust and rust. Ensure sacrificial anode is fixed if required. If cathodic protection is required. Ensure a touch-up paint is applied in case of epoxy coated rebars. Ensure electrical and other required inserts are fixed and approved, and also ensure all concrete spaces are placed at appropriate locations and position on both sides. And try to avoid excessive spaces within wall main body. If not so required, don't place them. Check that these spaces are fixed on top portion out of top of concrete. All inspection before closing, inspect all before closing. Reverse by formwork. Means stage of inspection is, you can write in your methods, stage of inspection. You have to check steel bars before form is installed. Check whether or not starter or kicker is convenient. Preferably it should be avoided. In case proprietary system is used in place of site fabricated, check system is in line and now sometimes you have to think a lot, because It is such an item. Same ensure clean and free surfaces of rebar, sacrificial anode issue, touch-up paint issue, electrical and other required inserts issue, concrete spacer issue, and excess use of spacers, and fix according as is tucked in columns and walls. Same thing applies to left. Ensure all inspection before closing rebars. Check whether or not starter kicker is convenient. It should be avoided. In case proprietary system is used in place of site fabricated, check system is aligned to requirement of manufacturer's drawings. It comply with manufacturer's drawings because it is manufacturer's design. And if it's self-designed system, then ensure following, and what are those? That's the important point. System manufacturer, as I say, in case self-designed, then well door forms. It's very important point. Lift well door forms. That's number one. There's a door in lift at every floor, and we are doing form work that there should be no concrete in door. That's right too. It's the only end. Well door, what is that? You have to make one form for well door and fix that with cross members, diagonal members. You have to prefabricate one door form where no concrete should go in. Actually, it's a void form. In this form, no concrete shall go in. This is called door form. Additionally fixed to be concealed within main forms. Both internal and external forms are fixed in position correctly. There is no concrete in that door portion, but we have to fix enter and equal bars. Then you can say you have to put both shutters, then side supporting system intact at one side when bolts are used. Grid offset thread lines, again same principle of making sure that your forms are in the right position, right line. When you take string thread or use theodolite for that purpose, according to how you fix and use. Then you have to see that about what I say. Grid offset thread lines are available from both axis reference to a certain all walls locations, and bolts are fixed preferably inside of wall sections in all walls. These bolts pass through plastic sleeves with bosses at ends. Do not tighten them immediately, but after ensuring true locations and accurate plumb. Top inclined support is meant for keeping forms in position. As usual, middle support located and fixed at one end, one third from bottom is meant for resisting resultant fluid pressure during pour, as we said before. That middle support located and fixed at one third from bottom is one third height from bottom. It's meant for resisting resultant fluid pressure during pour. Bottom horizontal support is meant for holding formwork foot. More supports can also be added depending on height of proposed pour. Also, spacing of type bolts would require a number of added supports. Now we have to check whether or not type bolts have been designed to withstand force imposed by liquid concrete safely. So we have to check whether or not tie poles have been designed to withstand forces imposed by liquid concrete safely. All corners of forms are well anchored. All corners of forms are well anchored without causing any worry for opening or relocation of forms or getting twisted. Also, check internal forms that should be provided with adequate cross inclined supports through the located in middle of forms at various locations. Check whether or not heavy plumb bobs are hung from top of forms on at least 3 or more locations depending on length of RCC wall. Heavy plumb bob means either use heavy concrete as visual sill, and binding wire can also be used to hang. Timber pieces can be fixed on top to hang bob. First check location, form location at bottom, then top, then middle. Now after ensuring form location, check plumb on all locations, vertically in full height casting. Then adjustments if required bring errors within permissible limits. Now once forms are checked for horizontal and vertical location, start fastening ties, ensure supports are well anchored. Having completed all walls preparatory works, move for working platform operations and check stability of system, plan for inspection and pour. Check adequate working space is available within walls preparatory works, about passage of pump pipe down to at least 1.5 to 2 meters above lowest starting point. Check for raising a strong temporary platform internally as well as for working. Raising a strong temporary platform internally, it is in well portion as well for working. Remember that wall support is slow around walls but steady as it has to be poured in rotation of heights not more than depth of nozzle. It would risk opening forms in case pour is allowed fast, as chances forming open. Wall is not an element like column or beam, and therefore imports a good check and attention. Lift well walls are a complicated pour that should be taken due care of. Is very important point of, you can read again if you wish. Ensure scaffolding with working platform is in position for access on both sides of internal and external side of walls of preparatory works. Ensure safe ingress and egress to and from site lift well. Ensure all other safety measures such as green tags are installed. Ensure reverse fixing is correct. Requirement overlap should be fixed correct with specifications. Lowest link should start at half of spacing. Location from structural level. Ensure bars be well tightened and maintained in plumb. Ensure that all U-shaped bars, or even if so required, rings are tightly fixed in position and well secured or anchored. Ensure in particular corner U-bars in both directions, making it perpendicular. Ensure the bars clean and free from rust. Ensure sacrificial anode is fixed if so required. Ensure touch-up paint is applied on case of epoxy-coated rebars. Ensure electrical and other required inserts are fixed and approved. Fixed. Ensure all concrete spaces are placed appropriate locations and position both sides. Try to avoid excessive use spaces within the main body if not required. Check that these spaces are fixed on top portion out of top of concrete. Ensure all inspections be before closing and bar by formwork. Check whether or not starter or kicker is convenient. Preferably it should be avoided. In case proprietary system is used in place of site fabricated one, check system is in line with system manufacturer's drawings. In case self-designated systems or design system is being followed, ensure following. Then you can say, so we can see that all we have checked preferably should be wider than we can check lift well door forms are additionally fixed to be concealed with main points. If it is self-designated, lift well doors forms are additionally fixed to be concealed with the main forms. Both internal and external forms are fixed in position correctly. Then side support system intact at one side when bolts are used. Grid offsets, thread lines are available. Then check from both axis reference to ascertain all walls locations. Tie bolts are fixed. Tie bolts are fixed preferably inside of wall sections in all walls. Check that these bolts pass through plastic sleeves with both bosses at ends. Do not tighten them immediately but after ensuring true locations and accurate plumb. Topping light supports meant for keeping forms in position. Middle support located and fixed at one end. 1/3 from bottom is meant for resisting resultant fluid pressure during pour. Bottom support is meant for holding formwork foot. More support can also be added depending on height of proposed pour. Also spacing of tie bolts would require number of added supports. Check whether or not tie bolts have been designed to withstand forces imposed by liquid concrete safely. Check all concrete corners of forms are well anchored without causing any worry for opening or locations of forms or getting twisted. Also check internal forms that should be provided with adequate cross inclined supports, though location in middle of forms are various locations. And check whether or not heavy plumb bobs are hung from top of forms on at least 3 or more locations depending on length of RCC wall. Heavy plumb bob means either use heavy concrete piece or brick, etc. Binding wire can also be used to hang these variations. Alright, then we can move further. Then we can say after ensuring for locations, check plumb on all locations vertically in full height casting. Check for adjustments required to bring the error within permissible limits. Then once forms are checked for horizontal and vertical both location, start fastening ties and ensure supports are well anchored. Having completed all walls preparatory works, move for working platform operations, and having completed all these works, platform locations and check stability of system, plan for inspection pour. After that, check adequate working space is available within walls preparatory works with about passes of pump pipe down to at least 1.5 to 2 meter above lowest starting point. Check for using a strong temporary platform internally as well as for working. Internal well portion I'm talking, and well portion I'm doing full platform, so you can work there, and it should be enough strong to take your load and your load of people, and also you can perform to that. Really, it's like the working platform. It's mandated and check for staging strong temporary platform internally as well as working. Remember that wall post is slow around wall, but still steady as it has to be poured in rotation of heights not more than depth of nozzle. It would risk opening forms in case pour is allowed fast. Walls not an element like columns or beams, and therefore imports a good check and attention. Lift well walls are complicated for that should be taken due care of. It's if you can understand, I think it's very complicated one. Lift for you should understand that the heights of 4 meter approximately, and all walls are 1 meter point something in that. So I think those good lift width or lifts are not levels. The points are important. We'll go to checklist versus long to staircase. Stair walls, longitudinal stair walls. And you see time is there. That's also an important factor to see this. This is about 316. So this list I just actually, you know, because the stair is a very complicated arrangement, and I have some diagrams, also sketches, but I cannot show it directly here. It's in book. It's not in PDF mode, and it's not possible to share with you, at least in this talk. I've shared it before separately. Maybe you forgot. Other videos are shared. When I make my face video, then I'll show you this one. So the checklist for RCC longitudinal stair wall. Now, what's the reason that I'm going behind this? Because your quality of concrete basis on preparatory works, then after based on preparatory work, they call it business criteria. I don't know what you said there. It's you to provide, life quality and style. Yes, no use. you know, we'll discuss that one. First of all, what we have discussed so far, you can see we have discussed so far. If you just browse again, I'll show you that. This is excavation, setting out excavation. Number one it was. So many points are there. You can, no, I cannot repeat all them. Then there was hand excavations, which is very, very limited in scope. There was a time, if you go past, when I was young, there was no JCBs, and every excavation was done manually in our country. Though I know machines since 1981. So, 1981 I was in Iraq, and we know all heavy machines since that time. I was fortunate to have seen these machines with concrete pumps those days. So for me, it will not be something to effort. When these arrived later on, and now it's JVC culture, hand excavation has gone, and even for small quantity, people wait for JVC, which is nonsense, I can say. This is hand excavation. The purpose of this hand excavation is not because you have to excavate, but because you have to know somewhere existing life services exist, run in drawing in ground underneath, and you have to find those where these are, because you have to excavate. And if you excavate blindly, and if by chance you reach this area, it's bust. So we have to be serious about this. I should ask. So this is noting here that the hand excavation is done, where there is risk to failure of or disruption of life services. There we just dig out using manual excavation or by jetting, and we know where it is. After exposition of this, we can use a machine, otherwise no. Then we can say checklist for formation, that is formation level, which you have to compact below blinding concrete. You have to discuss about that one, and then it was for blinding. We did how blinding is done, what about that, and how production is done. That there's a blinding. Then waterproofing and concrete protection, which is an important point. People say waterproofing, what's concrete protection? For protect your hardened concrete from impacts of chemicals which are carried through soil, and also impact of soil water movement, water soil movement. There's a mix of water soil movement that happens below ground due to properties of soil, that's maybe coefficient of permeability, and if there's a permeability coefficient axis, means that soil water, though it's slow speed moves among from one point to other point, and this they carry soil particles with that as well. So it destructs the soil, and in this is suppose is salt and so on. So we say that those points are very important to be discussed, and we discuss. So protection is concrete protection, and then we can say it's protection for below ground, above ground, both. It's not simply for you can say only for below ground. It's below ground because soil remains, foundation remains contact with soil. Soil cannot be relied upon as far as protection of soil, because concrete is concerned. Then because above ground protection is something else. above ground, below ground, both are professional protections. You have to understand this point. Then checklist of foundation footing preparation works. What's foundation? How do we make this footing? This preparatory works. For point, understand. And this all just now we discussed. Then stub columns we discussed today. A stub columns columns from footing onto plinth level up to the thread. The daft is generally called stub columns or draft columns, or and then you can say backfill works. The backfill is an important part of structural engineering because it's the soil. A backfill is not perfect. Means there always has chances of buildings cracking or unstable. So this points into consideration. So backfill, or maybe engineered fill, or maybe structural fill, or general fill. You got this point. Means backfill is a structural fill, or we call it engineer's fill. It may be general fill, it may be spoiled fill. Right? Then you can say backfill work, as I said, very important. You should do backfill preferably by granular material or not by cohesive material, because granular material, once compacted, means well strong. It may not require in some cases consolidation because it gives you much better density, but it's very expensive. We have to design backfill material to keep it without free of silt or from clay. It has to remain on time with your ball. And that's an important point we have to consider here. Backfill, you have to understand many backfills are there. Backfill is very important part because if suppose it settles in future, this can cause harm building and structure. So grade slab also, you can say grade slab is ground slab or plain slab, which is not exactly structural slab because but it's based on mesh which kept in there. And this is a kind of floating slab. Around it are joints, and those just give you a table for that person. You can ask take a load. Then and there's so many other points as well, in addition to the grade slab, which we discussed with RCC column works. RCC column works we discussed with, I think, audio problem. So this is RCC column issue, which is deftly discussed. And then we say wall works, which is better than column, which is much more complicated as well. And also we discuss lift well wall works. This is gradually we can say we move forward into more and more elements of building components, which are repetitive components. Then there will be more other than buildings we'll discuss, and that's what you have to enlarge your scope of learning based on practical aspect rather than books aspect, because you will not find such information in authors' books or those professors' books. Those are only for purpose of indicative construction. We are talking papers, practical construction, real construction. To understand that point very well. It's not simple text, it's context, actually not text. It's concentration of texts which actually do, collection of activities which you do, and those are more important from every point of view. We have to understand those in clarity. Already it's time, I think it's not hold you just 2 or 3 minutes more. Purpose of this talk is to give you provide you some feedback which is based on technical understanding, based on engineering understanding of real works, real world of engineering, which remains far, far located from imagination. It remains far, but with the at location of world of engineering. Means you have to do something. How to do it for project? Means speaking and doing are different. But when you understand what is shuttering formwork or what is specific thing, you know how to measure, how to give cutting length of steel bars, you know how to read drawings, but how to fabricate formwork is question mark, because until you do work on site for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year buildings, you may be asked such questions. And even you can say it's not my answer. It's based on a lot of research. It's based on a lot of research. So don't run away from taking real responsibility. If you run away from taking real responsibility, and if you do not think about that, how to do that job, again I say thinking is root of engineering, and if you do not think, then you are not engineer, simply. Nobody can call you engineer if you cannot think. Thinking is very important part of engineering, and engineering is thinking actually. Thinking makes you engineer. If you start thinking, you will think in every subject. It's not only construction. You shall think about designs. You shall think about applied mechanics, materials. You shall think about quantity and quality. You shall think about methods, and you shall think about how to do best with alternative arrangement, and how to write, how to communicate. These thinking initiations shall make you coordinator, communicator, engineer, work professor, and you have to learn as well as you have to teach. Sometimes we don't have capacity to decide on activity, but those people who are not very highly qualified, our technicians, they know job practically. You have to observe their job, and then you have to amend that. You have to write that because they don't have writing capacity. You have what you see, you write, and if you think, if you consider that their carried out work gives results, this means that is the right method. You have to make sure that it is within quality controls, it is within actual requirement. It is something to do with like that, and that is what is required. That is what is required. So there's a call. I have to go, and I hope Mr. Raj Brahman, Pandit, enjoyed discussion. I take your leave now. Thank you very much, gentlemen.